I never thought a joke would become the biggest regret, or maybe blessing of my life. Standing in the conference room, I juggled my files while my boss Jamie Kane gave me orders to revise the same report for the third time. His cold, emotionless voice shattered what little patience I had left. "Ryder, there shouldn't be any mistakes this time," he said without even glancing my way. My brain was exhausted, my frustration bubbling over. I couldn't stop myself. "Yes, Daddy," I muttered in a sarcastic, fed-up tone. Silence. Dead silence. I froze completely. He slowly raised his gray eyes toward me, his expression unreadable. My heart sank into my stomach. "What did you just say?" he asked, leaning forward slightly. I swallowed hard. "Sir, I didn't Ryder." His voice dropped low, almost dangerous. "Repeat it." My face turned completely red. "Sir, it was a joke, I swear." "Call me Daddy," he interrupted, his lips curling into the slightest smirk I'd ever seen on his face. My breath caught in my throat. Was this man serious? Jamie Kane, the emotionless, workaholic, ice-cold CEO, was actually saying this to me right now. What? You heard me? He said calmly, adjusting his tie with practiced ease. "From now on, when we're alone, you'll address me that way." My words got stuck in my throat. I couldn't say anything. He gathered his files and walked toward the door, but paused before leaving to look back at me. "In the office, you'll call me sir. But here, Daddy." I watched him close the door behind him, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. What just happened? Was any of this real? And most importantly, why was my body reacting to his strange command in ways I didn't want to admit? The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur. I couldn't focus on anything. Every time I tried to work, my mind replayed that moment over and over. The way he said it, the way he looked at me, the way my entire body had gone electric from just one word. I tried convincing myself it was nothing, just him playing some twisted power game, but deep down something had shifted between us, and I knew there was no going back. By the time 5 o'clock rolled around, I was a nervous wreck. I packed my things quickly, desperate to escape the office and clear my head. But as I reached the elevator, I heard his voice behind me. "Leaving so soon?" I turned around to find Jamie standing there, hands in his pockets, looking completely unbothered by the chaos he'd caused in my mind all day. Yes. My shift is over," I stammered. "Walk with me to the parking lot," he said. It wasn't a request. We walked in silence, the tension between us thick enough to cut with a knife. Once we reached his car, a sleek black luxury sedan that probably cost more than my yearly salary, he finally spoke. "You think I was joking earlier, don't you?" I didn't know how to answer that. Part of me hoped he was. The other part, the part that terrified me, hoped he wasn't. "I don't know what to think, sir." "Jamie," he corrected, stepping closer to me. "When it's just us, it's Jamie." Or, he paused, his eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my knees weak. "You know what else you can call me?" "This is insane," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "Maybe," he agreed, reaching out to brush a strand of hair away from my forehead. The touch was gentle, almost tender, and completely unexpected from someone as cold as him. "But you felt it too. That moment in the conference room. Don't lie to me, Ryder." He was right. I had felt it. That electric current, that pull, that inexplicable connection that made absolutely no sense but felt more real than anything I'd experienced in years. "I don't understand any of this," I admitted. "You don't have to understand it yet," Jamie said softly. "Just don't run from it." Before I could respond, he got into his car and drove away, leaving me standing there in the parking lot, completely confused and utterly captivated. I drove home on autopilot, my mind racing with 1,000 questions. What did he want from me? Why me? Out of everyone in that office, and most terrifying of all, why did part of me want to find out? That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face. That smirk, those gray eyes, the way he'd touched my forehead so gently, like I was something precious. By morning, I'd made a decision. I would confront him. I would demand answers. I would put an end to whatever game he was playing before it consumed me completely. But deep down, I knew the truth. It was already too late. Jamie Kane had gotten under my skin, and no amount of logic or reason was going to change that. The next morning at the office, I tried my best to avoid Jamie. Every time I sensed his presence nearby, my pulse quickened. But Jamie Kane wasn't the type of man you could avoid. Right after lunch, he summoned me to his office. When I entered, he barely acknowledged me. "Close the door," he ordered. I obeyed. "Jamie, sir, what did I tell you yesterday, Ryder?" He cut me off, standing up and leaning against his desk. I stood there awkwardly. That was a misunderstanding, sir." "Really?" He crossed his arms over his chest. "Because I meant every single word." His confidence overwhelmed me. This man was completely serious. Jamie took a step closer. Then another. "Listen carefully," he whispered, his breath warm against my ear. "I don't play games, Ryder. When I say something, I mean it." My breathing became shallow. "But why?" "'Cause," he said, pulling back just enough to look into my eyes. "I've been watching you for months. The way you work. The way you handle pressure. The way you challenge me when nobody else dares. Yesterday you finally gave me the opening I needed." My mind was spinning. "Opening? You called me daddy," he said with a slight smirk. "And I liked it." My face burned with embarrassment. "Jamie, try again." His tone was firm, leaving no room for argument. I hesitated, my heart hammering in my chest. "Daddy." He smiled, an actual genuine smile. It was the first time I'd ever seen him smile like that. "Good boy." His words sent electricity through my entire body. What was happening to me? Why was I being pulled toward him like this? Jamie casually turned back to his desk as if nothing had happened. "Now, get back to work. Dinner tonight, 8 o'clock. My place." "Wait. What?" "That's an order, Ryder." He finally looked at me again, his eyes intense and unwavering. I realized in that moment that refusing wasn't an option. Not for me and definitely not for my traitorous heart. The rest of the day dragged on painfully. I couldn't concentrate on anything. My coworkers noticed my distraction, but nobody said anything. At 7:30, I found myself standing in front of my closet panicking about what to wear. This wasn't a date. It couldn't be a date. It was just, what was it exactly? I settled on casual but presentable, dark jeans and a button-up shirt. As I drove to the address he'd texted me, my hands trembled on the steering wheel. This was crazy. Completely insane. I was going to my boss's house for dinner, and I had no idea what to expect. His penthouse was in the most expensive part of the city. Of course it was. I stood outside his door, my finger hovering over the doorbell when it suddenly opened. Jamie stood there in casual clothes. A black shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. Seeing him outside of work mode threw me off balance. "Right on time." "Good," he said, stepping aside to let me in. The interior was stunning. Minimalist design, dark colors, expensive furniture that probably cost more than my car. But what surprised me most was the dining table already set with what looked like homemade food. "You cooked?" I asked, genuinely shocked. "Surprised?" Jamie's smirk returned. "I'm not heartless, Ryder. Just selective about who gets to see this side of me." Dinner was surprisingly comfortable. We talked about real things. Childhood memories, favorite movies, pet peeves. For the first time, I saw Jamie as a human being, not just the robot CEO everyone feared at work. "Why me?" I finally asked, setting down my fork. "Out of everyone in that office, why choose me?" Jamie leaned back in his chair, studying me carefully. "Because you don't fear me. Everyone else does. They tiptoe around me, fake their smiles, agree with everything I say. But you argue. You push back. You challenge me. You make me feel alive." His honesty caught me completely off guard. "Jamie, say it properly," he reminded me. I took a deep breath. "Daddy." He stood up slowly, walking around the table until he stopped directly in front of me. "Do you know what I want, Ryder?" My throat went dry. "What?" "You. All of you. No walls, no games, no pretending." He paused, his gaze intense. "But only if you want this too." Conflict raged inside me. This was dangerous. Unprofessional. Wrong on so many levels. But when he gently took my hand in his, something inside me cracked open. "I don't know what I want," I admitted quietly. "Then let me show you," he whispered, pulling me closer until I could feel the warmth radiating from his body. "Let me prove that this us can be something real." I looked up into his eyes and saw something I'd never seen before. vulnerability. The cold, untouchable CEO had cracks in his armor and he was showing them to me. Maybe this was a risk worth taking. Maybe, just maybe, I was exactly where I needed to be. Standing in Jamie's penthouse with his hand holding mine, I felt the world narrow down to just the two of us. The city lights sparkled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, but I barely noticed them. All I could focus on was the man in front of me, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite decipher. "Come here," he said softly, guiding me toward the massive windows overlooking the city. "This is my favorite view." I stood beside him, trying to appreciate the skyline, but my attention kept drifting back to him. "It's beautiful," I managed to say. "It is," he agreed, though when I glanced over he wasn't looking at the city at all. He was looking at me, my cheeks heated under his gaze. "You're staring." "I know." He didn't even try to deny it. "I've wanted to do this for so long. Just look at you without having to hide it behind professional courtesy." "How long?" The question escaped before I could stop it. Jamie's expression softened. "Do you remember the quarterly meeting 6 months ago? When you presented the marketing strategy that I initially rejected?" I nodded. That had been a brutal meeting. He'd torn apart my proposal in front of everyone. "You came to my office afterward," he continued. "You didn't yell or storm out like others might have. Instead, you calmly explained why I was wrong, backed it up with data I'd overlooked, made me see the flaws in my own logic. Nobody had done that to me in years. I implemented your strategy the next week." "I remember," I said quietly. "But I thought you hated me for it." "Hated you?" He laughed, a genuine warm sound. I'd never heard from him before. "Ryder, I was fascinated. You had fire, intelligence, and courage. After that day, I couldn't stop noticing you. The way you bite your pen when you're concentrating, how you always bring coffee to the interns on Monday mornings. The way you stand up for your team even when it puts you at risk." I felt exposed, vulnerable. "That's kind of creepy, actually." "I know," he admitted without shame. "But I couldn't help myself. You got under my skin and I didn't know how to approach you without compromising both our positions. Then yesterday, you gave me an opening I never expected." "A sarcastic joke gave you an opening?" I asked incredulously. "The best things often come from unexpected moments," he said, finally turning to face me fully. "Ryder, I need you to understand something. This isn't just physical attraction. This isn't just a power play. I genuinely want to know you, all of you." My heart hammered against my ribcage. What if this ruins everything? Our working relationship, my career, your reputation? "Then we'll deal with it," he said firmly. "Together." But I refused to let fear stop me from pursuing something that feels this right. Before I could respond, he cupped my face gently with both hands. "Tell me to stop, and I will. Tell me you don't feel this connection and I'll never mention it again. But if you feel even a fraction of what I'm feeling..." I couldn't finish his sentence for him. Words seemed inadequate for the storm of emotions raging inside me. Instead, I made a choice, perhaps the most terrifying and exhilarating choice of my life. I leaned forward, closing the distance between us. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, as if we were both testing the waters. But then something ignited. Jamie's hands moved from my face to my waist, pulling me closer. I wrapped my arms around his neck, finally giving in to the pull I'd been fighting since yesterday. When we finally broke apart, both breathing heavily, Jamie rested his forehead against mine. "Stay," he whispered. "Not for anything physical, just stay. Talk to me. Let me learn everything about you." How could I say no to that? We spent the next few hours on his couch, talking about everything and nothing. He told me about growing up with demanding parents who pushed him towards success at the cost of personal connections. I shared my own struggles with feeling invisible in a competitive industry. We laughed about terrible office parties and bonded over our mutual love of terrible action movies. As midnight approached, I realized I should leave. But when I stood up, Jamie caught my hand. "Thank you," he said simply. "For what?" "For taking a chance. For not running away. For seeing me as more than just the cold boss everyone fears." I squeezed his hand. "Thank you for showing me who you really are." He walked me to the door, and just before I left, he pulled me in for one more kiss. Deeper this time, full of promise. "Tomorrow at work will be professional," he said against my lips. "But tomorrow night, dinner again." "That depends." I teased. Are you cooking? Anything you want, he promised with a smile that made my knees weak. Driving home, I couldn't stop smiling like an idiot. My phone buzzed at a red light, a text from Jamie. Already missing you. Sleep well, Ryder. I replied without hesitation. You too, Daddy. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, you're going to be the death of me. I laughed out loud in my empty car. Whatever this was, whatever we were becoming, it felt right. Terrifying and complicated and completely unprofessional, but right. As I pulled into my apartment parking lot, I made a decision. I was done running from this, done overthinking. Tomorrow we'd face the office together. Tomorrow we'd navigate the complicated reality of our situation. But tonight I would let myself be happy. I would let myself hope that maybe, just maybe, taking this crazy risk would lead to something extraordinary. My phone buzzed one more time as I unlocked my apartment door. Sweet dreams. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. He had no idea how right he was. But as I fell asleep that night, I realized I wasn't afraid anymore. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. And somehow, that made all the difference. Monday morning hit me like a freight train. The moment I stepped into the office, I felt it. The weight of 100 eyes on me. Whispers followed me down the hallway. People who used to greet me cheerfully now looked away awkwardly. The tension was so thick I could barely breathe through it. I tried focusing on my work, but every few minutes I'd catch someone staring. During my coffee break, my friend and coworker Elliot cornered me by the break room. Dude, what's happening between you and Mr. Kane? He asked in a hushed voice. Nothing. I said quickly, too quickly. Ryder, don't lie to me. Everyone's noticed how he looks at you. And Friday night, someone saw you going to his place from the parking garage. My stomach dropped to the floor. It was already out there. I'd become the center of office gossip overnight. It's not what people think, I said weakly. Elliot raised an eyebrow. Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty obvious. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from Jamie. My office. Now. I excused myself from Elliot and made my way to Jamie's corner office, feeling dozens of eyes tracking my movement. When I entered, Jamie's expression was unreadable but serious. Sit down, he said. I obeyed, closing the door behind me. People are talking, I said immediately. I'm aware. He loosened his tie slightly, a rare sign of tension from him. Does it bother you? Yes. Jamie. I caught myself glancing at the door. This could destroy both of us. Let them talk, he said with surprising calm. I don't care what they think. The real question is, do you? I hesitated. Honestly, I was terrified. Terrified of judgment, of consequences, of losing everything I'd worked for. But there was another part of me, the part that had spent the weekend replaying every moment with Jamie, that didn't want this to end. I care about my career, I finally admitted. Your career is safe, Jamie assured me. In fact, I'm promoting you. Senior project lead position. The announcement goes out this afternoon. My eyes went wide with shock. What? Why would you? Because you've earned it, he interrupted firmly. Your work speaks for itself. The Harrison account you closed last month? That was all you. The efficiency improvements you suggested? They've saved us over $200,000. If anyone questions your promotion, they'll have to answer to me. His protectiveness made my chest feel warm despite the situation. You can't keep doing this, defending me, putting yourself at risk. Watch me, he said with steel in his voice. Nobody disrespects what belongs to me. What belongs to me? Those words echoed in my mind long after I left his office. Was I ready to be his? Completely and publicly. The rest of the day was torture. During lunch, I sat alone while whispers circulated around me. In the afternoon meeting, people who usually asked for my input stayed silent. Even the intern who normally chatted with me avoided eye contact. By the time I got home, I was exhausted, emotionally drained from pretending everything was fine. My phone rang. James, how are you holding up? He asked gently. I've had better days, I admitted, collapsing onto my couch. I'm sorry this is happening to you. It's happening to both of us, I corrected him. Yes, but you didn't ask for this level of scrutiny. I put you in this position. I closed my eyes. We both made choices, Jamie. I could have said no to dinner. I could have walked away. But you didn't, he said softly. And I'm grateful for that, even if it's complicated right now. We talked for over an hour about the office situation, about our fears, about what came next. By the time we hung up, I felt marginally better. At least we were facing this together. But as the week progressed, things only got worse. The whispers became louder. Someone started a rumor that I'd slept my way into the promotion. Another colleague accidentally left a printout of the company's fraternization policy on my desk. The environment became suffocating, oppressive. Thursday afternoon, I was called into a meeting with two HR representatives. My heart raced as they explained that several employees had expressed concerns about favoritism and inappropriate workplace relationships. Are you in a romantic relationship with Mr. Kane? The senior HR manager asked directly. I hesitated for only a second. We've been seeing each other outside of work. Yes. She made a note. And are you aware this could be seen as a conflict of interest? Especially given your recent promotion? My promotion was based solely on my performance metrics. I said firmly. You can review my files, every project I've completed, every account I've managed. It's all documented. The other HR representative nodded. We'll be conducting a full investigation to ensure everything was above board. In the meantime, we ask that you maintain professional boundaries during work hours. As I left the HR office, I felt sick to my stomach. This was really happening. Our relationship was under investigation. My career hung in the balance. Everything I'd worked for could crumble because I'd fallen for my boss. That evening, I went straight to Jamie's penthouse without being invited. He opened the door, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. HR called me in today. I said without preamble. I know. They questioned me this morning. What did you tell them? The truth, Jamie said. That we're involved. That your promotion was merit-based. That I have documentation proving your qualifications. I sank onto his couch. This is a nightmare. Jamie sat beside me, taking my hand. We'll get through this. Will we? I looked at him. What if they fire me? What if this ruins your reputation? What if we're not strong enough to survive this? Then we'll find out, he said simply. But I'd rather fight and fail than never have tried at all. His words settled something inside me. He was right. We couldn't control what other people thought or said. We could only control how we responded. Okay, I said quietly. We fight. Jamie squeezed my hand. Together. As I drove home later that night, I felt a shift inside me. The fear was still there, but it was joined by something else. Determination. I wasn't going to let office gossip or HR investigations take away something that made me happy. Whatever came next, I would face it head on. By the end of the week, the situation had deteriorated beyond what I could have imagined. Friday afternoon, HR contacted me again with news that made my blood run cold. Multiple employees had filed formal complaints alleging favoritism and workplace misconduct. I didn't even knock on Jamie's office door. I burst in, breathless and panicking. They're investigating us. Multiple complaints. This is serious. Jamie closed his laptop, his expression calm but his eyes dangerous. I'm aware of the situation. You're aware? And you're just sitting here doing nothing. Ryder, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. I snapped, my voice rising. My entire career is on the line because of this. Everything I've worked for could disappear. Jamie stood up abruptly. Do you think this is easy for me? Do you think I'm not taking this seriously? I think you don't understand what I'm risking. Tears pricked at my eyes. You're the CEO. You own half this company. I'm just an employee who everyone now thinks slept his way a promotion. That's not true and you know it, Jamie said, his voice hard. Do I? The words came out bitter. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe we moved too fast. Don't, Jamie interrupted sharply. Don't do this. Do what? Push me away because you're scared. We're in this together, remember? Are we? I challenged. Because from where I'm standing, I'm the only one losing everything. The silence that followed was deafening. I immediately regretted my words, but pride kept me from taking them back. Jamie's jaw clenched, and for a moment I thought he might yell. Instead, he walked around his desk slowly, deliberately. You think you're the only one with something to lose? His voice was quiet but intense. Ryder, I've spent 15 years building this company. My reputation, my credibility, Everything I've for is also at stake. But you know what? I'd burn it all down if it meant keeping you. His words hit me like a physical blow. What? If it comes down to choosing between this company and you, I choose you. Every single time. Tears finally spilled down my cheeks. You can't mean that. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. He cupped my face gently, wiping away my tears with his thumbs. I will resign from this company before I let you face this alone. Jamie? No. Yes. He said firmly. Because what we have, this connection, this relationship, it's worth more than any job title or corporate position. You're insane, I whispered. Probably, he agreed with a sad smile. But that's what you do to me. You make me want to throw away logic and reason. You make me want to be reckless. I leaned into his touch, letting myself feel the comfort of his presence. I'm terrified. I know. So am I. He pressed his forehead against mine. But we'll face this together. No running away. No hiding. We stand united, no matter what anyone says or does. His conviction steadied me. What if we lose? Then we lose together, he said simply. And we'll figure out what comes next. But I refused to give up without fighting. I nodded slowly, drawing strength from his certainty. Okay, we fight. Jamie pulled me into a tight embrace, and I let myself collapse against him. For several minutes we just held each other, finding comfort in the silence. I have a plan, Jamie said eventually. But you're not going to like it. I pulled back to look at him. What kind of plan? Full transparency. We come clean about everything, when our relationship started, how we've maintained professional boundaries, the documentation proving your promotion was merit-based. That's actually not terrible, I admitted. There's more, he continued. I'm going to request an external audit of all my decisions regarding your work. Every project assignment, every performance review, every raise and promotion. I want independent verification that everything was justified. That could take weeks, I said. I don't care, I want there to be zero doubt about your qualifications or my integrity. His willingness to undergo that level of scrutiny moved me deeply. You'd really do all that? Without hesitation, he confirmed. Your reputation matters to me as much as my own. More, actually. A knock on the door interrupted us. We quickly separated as Jamie called out, "Come in." His assistant entered with an apologetic expression. Mr. Kane, the board has called an emergency meeting for Monday morning. They want to discuss the HR complaints. Jamie nodded calmly. Thank you. Please confirm my attendance. After she left, I felt panic rising again. The board? This is escalating fast. Let it escalate, Jamie said with surprising confidence. The sooner we address this head-on, the sooner we can move forward. What will you tell them? The truth. That we're together. That every professional decision I've made regarding you was based on merit. That I have nothing to hide. They could fire you, I said quietly. They could try, he acknowledged. But I own 40% of this company. They'd need unanimous agreement from the other board members, and that's unlikely. You've really thought this through, haven't you? I've thought about nothing else for days, he admitted. Ryder, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? I looked into his eyes. Those gray eyes that had first captured my attention in a conference room, and found my answer. Yes. I trust you. He smiled, genuine relief crossing his features. Then we're going to be fine. As I left his office that evening, I felt different. The fear was still present, but it was accompanied by something stronger, hope. Jamie had a plan. He was willing to fight for us, and somehow, despite everything, I believed we might actually survive this. The weekend passed in a blur of anxiety and preparation. Jamie and I spent hours going through documentation, every project I'd worked on, every performance metric, every piece of evidence that proved my competence. By Sunday night, we had an ironclad case. Monday morning arrived with all the weight of a reckoning. The board meeting was scheduled for 9 o'clock. Jamie went in alone. I wasn't invited, so I waited in my office, unable to focus on anything. Every minute felt like an hour. At 11:30, my phone rang. Jamie, come to the conference room. Now, he said, his tone unreadable. My heart hammered as I made my way through the office. People stared openly now, not even bothering to hide their curiosity. When I entered the conference room, the entire board was there. 8 powerful individuals who held our future in their hands. Mr. Ashford, the board chairman began, using my last name formally. We've heard Mr. Kane's account of your relationship and reviewed the documentation he provided. However, the board would like to hear directly from you. I swallowed hard, standing straight despite my nerves. What would you like to know? Let's start with when this relationship began, another board member said. I glanced at Jamie, who gave me an encouraging nod. Approximately 3 weeks ago, we had dinner at his residence following a work conversation. And prior to that, any romantic involvement? None whatsoever, I stated firmly. Our relationship was strictly professional until that point. Yet you received a significant promotion shortly after becoming involved with the CEO, the chairman pointed out. You can understand how that appears. I can, I acknowledged. Which is why I welcome any scrutiny of my work history. My promotion to senior project lead was based on quantifiable results. The Harrison account I managed independently, the operational improvements I designed, that saved the company over $200,000, and my consistent performance ratings that placed me in the top 5% of employees. A female board member leaned forward. Mr. Kane has requested an external audit of all decisions relating to your career advancement. Are you comfortable with that level of investigation? Absolutely, I said without hesitation. I have nothing to hide. My work speaks for itself. The board members exchanged glances. Finally, the chairman spoke again. Mr. Ashford, you may return to your office. We'll notify you of our decision. I nodded and left, my legs shaking. Back in my office, I couldn't sit still. I paced, checked my phone obsessively, and tried not to imagine the worst-case scenarios. 2 hours later, Jamie appeared in my doorway. His expression was neutral, giving nothing away. Walk with me. We went to the parking garage, neutral territory where we could talk privately. Once we were alone, Jamie finally spoke. The board has made their decision. They're implementing new policies regarding workplace relationships. Full disclosure requirements, regular HR check-ins, and mandatory external reviews for any promotions or raises involving romantically involved employees. Okay, I said cautiously. And they've approved the external audit of my decisions regarding your career. It will take approximately 6 weeks to complete. That's reasonable, I said, relief starting to creep in. What else? Jamie's expression finally cracked into a small smile. That's it. We're not being fired. You're not being demoted. They've accepted that our relationship is legitimate and that your professional achievements are genuine. I stared at him, hardly believing what I was hearing. We're okay? We're okay, he confirmed. More than okay, actually. The chairman told me privately that they're impressed with how we've handled this. Full transparency, documentation, willingness to undergo scrutiny. They see it as a sign of integrity. Relief flooded through me so intensely that my knees nearly buckled. Jamie caught me, pulling me into a tight embrace despite the security cameras. We did it, I whispered against his chest. We did, he agreed, together. But our celebration was short-lived. Even though the board had cleared us, the office atmosphere remained toxic. People still whispered. Colleagues still gave me cold shoulders. The damage to my reputation lingered. Friday evening, Jamie made a decision that shocked everyone. He called an all-hands meeting in the main conference room, something he rarely did. What are you planning? I asked nervously as we walked in together. Ending this once and for all, he said simply. The room filled with confused, curious employees. Jamie stood at the front, commanding attention without saying a word. When everyone had gathered, he began. I know there have been rumors circulating about Mr. Ashford and myself, so I'm going to address them directly. Yes, we are in a relationship. We've been seeing each other for several weeks now. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I felt my face burning but stood tall beside him. Jamie continued, his voice firm and unwavering. The board has investigated and found no evidence of impropriety or favoritism. Mr. Ashford's promotion was merit-based, verified by external documentation. However, I understand some of you may still have concerns. I want to be absolutely clear. Any disrespect toward Ryder will be treated as a serious offense. He is here because of his talent and hard work, period. The room fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. If anyone has legitimate concerns about workplace ethics or company policies, my door is always open. But gossip, harassment, or hostile behavior will not be tolerated. We are professionals, and I expect everyone to act accordingly. He paused, his eyes scanning the room. Are there any questions? Nobody spoke. The tension was palpable but different now, no longer fueled by speculation but by the reality of the situation being laid bare. Then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your time. As people filed out, I stood frozen in place. Jamie had just publicly claimed our relationship, defended my honor, and essentially dared anyone to challenge him. It was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. Once the room emptied, Jamie turned to me. Are you okay? You just told the entire company we're together. I said, my voice shaky. I did. Why? Because I'm tired of hiding, he said simply. Because you deserve better than whispers and speculation. Because he paused, vulnerability crossing his features. Because I love you, Ryder, and I want everyone to know it. My breath caught. You love me? Since the day you challenged me in that board meeting. Since the day you rolled your eyes at my impossible deadlines. Since the day you accidentally called me something that changed everything between us. He smiled. I've loved you through all of it. Tears welled up in my eyes. I love you too. Jamie kissed me then, right there in the conference room, not caring if anyone saw through the glass walls. It was soft and sweet and full of promises. So what happens now? I asked when we finally broke apart. Now. Jamie smiled. Now we live our lives. We work hard, we go home together, and we don't apologize for being happy. As we left the office that evening, hand in hand, I felt something I hadn't experienced in weeks. Peace. The battle wasn't completely over. There would still be challenges, still be people who disapproved, but we'd faced the worst together and survived. Whatever came next, we would handle it the same way, side by side, honest and unafraid.